Stuart, how are you feeling about the prospect of taking 7 wickets tomorrow after that spell late on?
Yeah, it's all set up to be a fantastic day. I think the whole day's play has ebbed and flowed a little bit today, hasn't it? It's been a fantastic day's cricket. I'm sure the crowd will be going home feeling like they've got their money's worth, and waking up tomorrow needing 7 wickets to win the Test match is a great feeling. But I think there's a few results still out there on the table. We're obviously delighted to have Warner, Marnus and Smith back in the pavilion because they're world-class players. But we know the Aussies have got a lot of danger to come, so we'll have to be right on the money tomorrow. But it's, I think Australia won that first hour with the bat, and we won the second. And
that pitch, you got getting the ball to swing a bit, but do you feel there's enough in it to take the 7? Yeah. I think it's been strange not being a slip catcher in the whole Test match, has it? So it's proven that you've got to sort of use your different skills to find ways of taking wickets, and we have to just wait and see what tomorrow brings. I think the forecast says there's a little bit more cloud around tomorrow, which we saw. The Aussies had that 10-over spell when they took creeps and ducky, where it nipped virtually every ball when the clouds came in. So if the clouds come in, we'll have to adjust and adapt our length. But ultimately, I think it's one of those pitches that I don't think any batter's going to come in and go, oh, it's fantastic to bat on, because it's quite sort of turgid and hard to time the ball on, and no bowler's going to say it's good to bowl on because it's not carrying and not moving particularly. So it's a hard-working pitch. It's create pressure, try and do as much as you can, hit the pitch as hard as you can, and we certainly did that in our spells today. And how's Moeen? How likely is it that he'll be able to bowl a lot tomorrow?
Yeah, I think he's fine. He's got a bit of a gouge out his finger, but he's doing as much as he can to sort of try and heal that and deal with the pain. But I think he's going well. He bowled some really nice deliveries tonight, and hopefully as a seamers group we can help him out a little bit by taking some early poles in that first hour.
And we saw you enjoying the Hollies stand. What role can England fans play tomorrow in helping you guys?
Yeah, I mean, there's never any doubt when you turn up here that the atmosphere is going to be superb. And I must admit, I absolutely loved every second of that last hour. It was so good running in and just hearing that roar and the cheer. And everyone keeps walking into our change room and going, "Wow, how loud is this place? How good is it playing here?" So that's that's so special to play Test match cricket in front of crowds like this. And Ashes cricket is just magical, isn't it? I mean, today has just been one of those days that sums up Ashes cricket, really. You think you're getting ahead of the game, you lose a wicket. You think you're getting ahead of the game, you lose the wicket. And then the Aussies would have felt the same tonight, 50 for none. Sort of seeing that scoreboard come down in their favour and then losing a couple of wickets. So yeah, it's just brilliant cricket to be a part of. And I think tomorrow's set up to be a cracker.
Stuart, in that spell at the end, you got number 1 in the world out, then you got number 2 in the world out. Number 3 in the world was carded to come in next, and they sent a night watchman or maybe a night hawk, I don't know, out there. Were you expecting that, or do you think that was a defensive option from Australia to sort of hide Travis?
Normally 20 minutes to go, you bring in someone to protect the batters, particularly in a run chase. There's only 170 odd needed there, so I'd have been really surprised to see a batter come out at that stage. I was disappointed I didn't create a bit more at the end. A couple got clipped to the leg side, but I felt in such good rhythm. I wanted to try and get one more wicket tonight, but I thought the guys played well in that last 20 minutes. But yeah, I think we were expecting a night watchman to come in, but it would have been great for us to try and get him out and get another batter in for sure.
And did it come across your bows that it was within 1 run of the 2005 Edgbaston chase here, the sort of that number that was on the board? It's a bit of a memory to sort of live in the background over the next 24 hours.
Yeah, when it was raining yesterday, actually, it was being played, wasn't it, on the big screen and on the telly? So we were watching it, so we were aware that it was around 280 odd. Hopefully it doesn't get as close as that. Hopefully we get a few wickets early, because that won't do much for the heart, will it?
Stuart, hi. You spoke about getting Steve Smith and Marnus Labuschagne out today, and you got Marnus in the first innings. From your perspective, do you think you got into their minds? Lily obviously spoke about the special outswinger a few months back, and just the way they seem to be going further and further and further outside off them to you. Do you think a little seed in their head?
Be nice, wouldn't it?
No, I mean, obviously they're 1 and 2 in the world. They know what they're doing. They're fantastic players. I think one thing we know as a bowling group, you've got to try and put them under pressure early. If they're the sort of guys, if they get to 30, 40, they don't give it away cheaply. So we know as a group that we want to try and make them play as much as we possibly can early. And they've scored a lot of runs against us as a group. So to have seen the back of them twice in this Test match without too much damage is awesome. They're players that you have to bowl slightly differently to, because their techniques are slightly different to other players. So if you just bowl the same ball, they're so set up to playing that. So actually changing your delivery point on the crease, the way you deliver it from, which style of ball you're trying to bowl, I actually think that's quite a good thing to do. Whereas a lot of batters, you try and bowl the same ball over and over again to try and expose a weakness. So yeah, I enjoy bowling at both those. I've had a lot of great battles, and they've probably won most of them. But it was good for a little plan that I came up with a few months ago to have paid off in the first Test, particularly that first ball in the first day.
Stuart, obviously Rory mentioned the kind of eerie similarities cricketing-wise with 05, but I just wondered about the kind of energy around this series and this game, and just generally how this series feels. Is that reminding you of 2005 as well?
It feels amazing. Yeah, honestly, it's as a group we've got so much energy around. We can feel the energy of the country. It really feels. I think each player's had a lot more messages and a lot more engagement from friends of the Ashes coming round, and I think that partly because of the style of cricket that the England team have played for the last 12 months, partly because we're one of the only sports on at the moment, and it's been an exciting start to the series. So yeah, it does feel like there's the same energy as 05, and if we have a series like that, we're going to inspire a lot of kids to play the game, aren't we?
Stuart, one of the mantras of England when bowling in the past year has sort of been taking the scoreboard out of the equation, bearing in mind what you said about how close 2005 was. Is that much more difficult when you're defending a total like this that I don't think you've sort of had to do in the past year? And at what point does that become something that's almost impossible to take out of the equation?
Yeah, I mean, you noticed today, I think for Uzi in the first innings, we didn't put a fielder back straight at all. Whereas when you've got a bit of scoreboard pressure, we use the fielder in a bit of a weird position, actually. Was it right? I couldn't see from point, but almost like right behind the bowler's arm. So I think ultimately, yeah, we take the scoreboard out of it and look to take wickets without focusing on run rate. But when you've got a set target to defend, you got to keep one eye on the boundaries as well. And actually, on a pitch like this, where it's quite slow and hard to create a mistake from a batter, you don't want to leak too many runs easily, waiting for that ball to break through. So I think we'll be smart with the fields we use. We need to protect the boundaries in certain players' strengths. But ultimately, our number one focus is to take wickets, and how do we do that? By creating pressure. So I think you'll probably see more fielders scattered around, almost like in-out fields. Warner used to bowl. He'd have like 4 people around the bat and then 3 people on the boundary. So 3 and over's not hurting you, and then you get the wicket and you can apply some pressure.
One question each. We'll go Matt, Malik, Mike, then Scott.
Stuart, where were you in 2005 on that final day at Edgbaston? What do you remember of that, watching it, I imagine?
I was at my mum's, actually. It was my first season of professional cricket, and I remember watching it almost like hiding behind the sofa. It was one of those that I found it really difficult to watch, and now I've played a lot of tight games myself. It's way harder watching than playing. It's weird. It's you feel the nerves and the anxiety way more when you can't control anything about it. So when you're involved in the game, you're just focused on sort of your style and your process, really. So I'm quite conscious I don't want to build up too much hype of that 05 Edgbaston, because I'm not sure we want that going to 2 runs, do we, tomorrow? From our point of view. Please.
Malik, go ahead.
Stuart, Ollie obviously put a little bit of a target on his back yesterday. I wondered how impressed you were with the way he first came out and batted today when he was probably expecting a bit, and then also obviously the big breakthrough in the evening as well.
Yeah, he's a highly competitive cricketer and someone that you want in your side. You know, he's someone who tries to move the game forward. And actually, I think the 60 runs we got for those final 3 wickets were really important. I think the game would look a little bit different if we only got 220 lead, because you start looking at that and thinking you only need one player to get 80 and that's sort of game over. So getting up to 280 was really important. I think everyone played their role in that. And you know, Robbo batted really nicely and then came on and got a huge breakthrough for us, because actually at 50 for none you were beginning to get to that stage of thinking, where are we getting a wicket from here? And it was actually a cross-seam delivery, wasn't it? So, you know, if you're bowling cross-seam deliveries as a group, you're not getting much out of the pitch, to be honest. So it was great to get that one breakthrough, and then we lifted as a group and managed to create a bit more pressure on top of that.
Mike, Scott, and I'll finish it down over here. Mike, go ahead, sir.
Stuart, never mind 2005. Does it feel a bit like 2009, getting on a roll, getting at the Oval? I mean, getting on a roll with the wind in your sails, charging in, a lot of noise, a lot of energy.
I mean, I think Ashes cricket creates that sort of energy. You only have to look around. Are we day 4 now? Day 5 tomorrow? All four days have been amazing, haven't they? It's been a long week. All 4 days have been incredible atmosphere. You know, I think back to Zach's first ball of the Test match. Probably one of my favourite Ashes moments. Just the sound it made and the noise and the roar, just looking around. It was such a special moment to witness, and I think Edgbaston does bring that sort of character and noise to it. And I think the cricket generally pays the crowd back as well here. It always seems to be exciting, interesting cricket. We played India here, 18 was it? When Stokesy got Kohli on the final day. I remember we coming back on the final day needing, you know, India needing maybe 60 and we needed a wicket. So it always seems to create cricket on a knife's edge here. And I think, you know, tomorrow's one of those days that both teams will come to the ground with a genuine belief they can win the game, which is a great place for Test match cricket to be.
Mike, just pass the mic behind you to Scott, and then we'll finish it down on our left.
Stuart, do you think that in some ways you have a final day or a close match advantage over Australia? Look, you think 05 here, there was Manchester in 05, Trent Bridge 2013, Headingley 2019, the SCG where you hold on to save a draw a couple of years ago. Like, is there a mental advantage you guys have or a psychological advantage over Australia in close games, do you think?
No, I don't think so. I mean, you know, I think it's a good question, because I think a lot of the games in England have gone close, and you know, that's where home crowds and home advantage really can roar you through, and your emotions can carry you over the line. But you know, the Aussies in 05 at Manchester ended up sort of batting the whole day out, didn't they, to see out for the draw? And it's you know, it's we've had some great battles over the years, and there's no doubt that this change room is, although no one played. Jimmy didn't play in 05, did he? No, he was already in the squad, wasn't he, last game? No one played in the 05 series apart from Trez in the group, but you can tell this group's massively inspired and motivated by that series. You can tell that it's all the sort of era that they were watching that and wanted to play Ashes cricket. So you know, it's great that the series are being related in a way, because 05 inspired our group to want to play and win Ashes series, and you know, to have this series being talked about in the same sort of sentences as 05 gives us a huge boost. And you know what, if the series can be halfway, what's the saying there? Half as good. Sorry. If the series can be half as good as that one, you know, that I think will be inspiring the nation.
Stuart, obviously you guys have monstered a few chases in the past 12 months. As a bowler, does it help you at all to know that sort of the guy at the other end is going to be playing you in a fairly orthodox way, sort of playing between the flags rather than running at you or, you know, doing something out of the ordinary?
Good question. Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately on pitches like this, you need a batter to come at you a little bit, because you need to create either a space between bat and pad or a push to get a nick. Because if
if the draw was on the cards tomorrow and someone just decided I'm going to block every single ball, I don't think you'd get them out, because there's nothing, there's no real sideways movement or nothing to create a mistake. So you need to, I think it's a really good score for Australia to try and chase and for us to defend, because you need a team to play a couple of shots to create chances. So there's a sort of carrot being dangled there, really. I think this is turning a little bit more than the India pitch. We chased 370 odd here last year for 3, but it didn't really spin that pitch. But this is turning a little bit more than that and probably got a little bit lower bounce. But I think it's, you know, it's almost like the perfect number, 280. I think both teams really fancy the chances, and ultimately we're here for entertainment, aren't we? And hopefully we'll get a lot of that tomorrow.
Cheers, Stuart.
Thank you.